Installing 40 computers in 1996, this was the starting point. On paper, it looked pretty straightforward. But it's Friday afternoon, 6 p.m, and they've all got to be finished by Monday morning. When you actually think about it, there's no way you're installing 40 machines in that time. Not with these. But you were given this and told to use NT's Unattended Installation. Now, Windows NT does give you tools to help with this. You've got the Network Client Administrator, which can create a network boot disk. And on the surface, it looks exactly like what you need. But there's a problem. The network card we actually need isn't even on the list. And even if you try to push on anyway, it just doesn't work. So, straight away, the tools built into Windows NT aren't going to help you. If you want to work this, you're going to have to build the boot disk yourself. If the tools don't work, you build the disk yourself. Start with a DOS system disk. Create the folder for the Microsoft Network Client. And then you copy files over. Or at least you try to. But there isn't enough space. The full network client simply doesn't fit on one floppy disk. And this is where it starts to get tricky. You can't just copy everything across from the C drive installation. So we delete everything and start again. And this is where it gets very manual. We have to copy over individual files. Only the absolute minimum needed to get the network working. We're building our own network client here. We're building it from scratch. All the kilobytes matter. Next, we need the core DOS tools on the disk. FDISK, FORMAT, and the memory manager EMM386 are the most important. We need to prepare everything for the Windows NT installation. The disk has to take us from nothing to a network install, all on a single floppy disk. Finally, we take the system configuration, Config.SYS and Autoexec.BAT, and copy them onto the floppy. These two files control everything, from memory to drivers to how the network loads. If we don't get these right, nothing else works. Now we take that disk and make it self-contained. Everything that normally runs from the hard drive has to be redirected to the floppy. So anywhere we see a C, it becomes an A. Changing system.ini, config.sys and autoexec.bat means we now have an entire network bootable configuration on the floppy disk. It's time to boot from the disk. The network loads, and at this point it looks like it's working. So we try to connect to the server, and it fails. We can't find the server because we don't know where it is. No DNS, no wins, no way of resolving PDC-01. So the fix for this is an LMHOSTS file. This is where we manually tell the machine how to find the server. We add an entry, the IP address, and the name of the server. So instead of discovering it on the network, we're telling it directly. Reboot the machine and try again. And this time, success. Now we have a working network connection from a single floppy disk. But we've got another problem. We need the machine to restart itself. Twice. Once after FDISK and again after FORMAT. But MS-DOS has no way of doing that automatically. It expects you to press Ctrl-Alt-Delete. So to get around that, we have to build our own reboot command using debug. We write a tiny program that forces the machine to restart. And if we've got it right, it should reboot the machine. Now we can automate the entire process. So we start with FDISK, and this isn't really designed for automation. All it tells you is configures a hard disk for use with MS-DOS. That's it. But then you look at FORMAT, and it's a completely different story. It's got switches, options, ways of controlling exactly how it runs. FORMAT can be automated. FDISK can't. Or, at least, it doesn't look like it can. And this is where you have to know something that isn't documented. This is where it all comes together. This is the script that runs when the machine boots. And this is how we automate FDISK. There is a way of doing it. It's just not documented. FORMAT's a bit easier. It already supports switches, but this is the important part. After each step, we drop a marker file on the disk. It knows what it's already done and doesn't do it again. Otherwise, you'd just be stuck in a loop. We've got a fully automated process running from a single floppy disk. So now we let it run. Partition created, and the machine restarts. The disk gets formatted, network comes up, and it connects to the server. Press any key to continue, and from here, Windows NT installs itself. And this is how you could install 40 machines by Monday morning. And once the machine connects to the network, this is what takes over. An unattended answer file that tells Windows NT exactly how to install. The hard work was getting to this point. Once you're here, the rest is easy. If you go looking for documentation on this, there really isn't much. This is pretty much it. And it doesn't walk you through it step by step. You're expected to figure it out, which is exactly what we ended up doing. And one last thing, when you copy the installation files, you need the Workstation i386 directory, not the server one. It's an easy mistake to make. And if you forget to remove the floppy disk, it just starts all over again, because it's just following the same instructions. And tired on a Friday after work, you can guarantee this happened. So from here, Windows NT installs itself. And for the most part, it does. But there are a couple of points where it needs input. The first is right at the end of the text setup, when it extends the OEM partition. And unless you've done this before, you wouldn't know you need to press enter. And then again, when it installs the network card, you get this configuration screen, and it just sits here, waiting. All you need to do is click continue, but it won't do it on its own. And once those two steps are done, the rest completes automatically, from blank machine to fully installed Windows NT. But then you hit the real problem. You've got 40 machines, and they can't all have the same name. Windows NT Unattended Setup doesn't randomize computer names, so by default, every machine comes out identical. You can either edit the answer file or use a unique database file, but whichever way you do it, you still have to tell each machine which configuration it should use. So in practice, you'd boot back to DOS, open the answer file, change the computer name, put it back together, send it out to a desk, and do it all again, 40 times. So even the official process wasn't really scalable. So this was Windows NT Unattended Installation, and for its time it was incredibly powerful. If a workstation failed on site, you could rebuild quickly, straight from the network. For smaller deployments, a few dozen, this worked, but once you started pushing beyond that, the cracks began to show. The network would struggle, the process was fragile, and a lot of it was still manual. And in the real world, this isn't what most people used. They moved on to imaging tools like Ghost, where you could take one machine and clone it to many. But this is where it started. And in the next video, I'll show you how that shift to imaging completely changed everything.